welcome back to Stitchcraft. My name is Mary, the Stitchcraft Queen, and today is Wednesday, June 4th. Can't believe it's already June. That is crazy to me. Of 2025. Yeah, I haven't been on in a while. And it's kind of funny because I filmed like 3 of these on like Tuesdays and Fridays, and then there was always something that went wrong, so I just did away with it and decided not to. So we're here today though. The house is empty except for me and the girls and obviously the baby in my belly, but that is it. However, these last 3-4-ish weeks, I have not done a lot of knitting. The only knitting I did was when we went to Colorado for my sister-in-law's graduation. Let me see. I just knit a tiny bit on my husband's socks. I don't even know if you can see that. Right there's that stitch marker. I only did about probably 5, 6, 7 rows when we were at the airport. There was just a lot of crazy things going on at the airport, and so I did not knit a lot because I was paying attention to all the weirdos around us. And then when we flew at night, so there was like no light at all. So I wasn't really able to knit then, and I was just really tired. I was exhausted. Yeah, let's see if we can go back. I'm week 17 of my pregnancy now. We can go back a couple weeks. What is it, week 14? I believe was the last one. That was when, I believe that was that Mother's Day? No, I think that we had just, oh, sorry, Beebe. Sorry, Beebe's ball just, I saw it out of the corner of my eye, rolled underneath our chair. Oh, she got it. She's smart. Okay, but anyways, week 14, I believe, that was Mother's Day. And then the next week, week 15 was when we flew to Denver, not home, flew to Denver for my sister-in-law's graduation. And then last week happened, 14 was graduation. Then last week was pretty normal. 15 was normal. And then 16, my mother-in-law ended up surprise visiting us for a couple days. So that kind of took precedence. So that's why I didn't get a lot of knitting done. Also, work has been amping up, which is good. I've been getting lots more clients, which is awesome. I always love that. It has been a lot harder on my body just because my body is a lot, I don't want to say slower because I can still do the same number of dogs, but it's been really difficult, especially because the air conditioning at our work is broken right now. So I have been working, I don't work on dogs above 80 degrees because that is dangerous for the dogs actually. So we move them out to the rest of the facility when it gets that hot, where the air conditioning is broken. It's just in the salon where it's broken, which sucks. Probably what ended up happening is a bunch of fur because I wasn't there for a long time and you're supposed to sweep the ceiling vents to get all the hair that like gets sucked up into the ventilation shaft. You're supposed to sweep that off so that it doesn't, get sucked up. But I don't think they were doing that because I don't think they realized they needed to do that. So I bet that's what they're going to find when the air conditioning and heating guy comes out. He's supposed to be coming out this week, so hopefully. But yeah, anyways, if it was too hot, I just take dogs back out to the rest of the facility where they chill, and then we just work on one dog at a time. It's really hard because we can't just like prop the door open because that is a safety hazard, because then dogs can see something and try to jump off the table while you're like scissoring them or, clippering them. And so that is a safety hazard. So we kind of are stuck working in 80-degree weather, basically. On a good day, like yesterday, it started out at 72 degrees because we left the door propped open all overnight because there were no dogs in there, so we're allowed to do that. But as the day goes on and you're using heaters and dryers and you have big furry dogs, and you're sweating, and my coworker in there is working as well, doing all the same things, the heat just rises really quickly. So that's been, I think, the most difficult thing to work with, just because my stomach does not tolerate that well right now. I think it's both the baby being uncomfortable and then just, I still have some nausea, which I'll talk about later. But that's been, kind of the big thing of why I have not been knitting, is because I will go work and then I'll just be so exhausted. So I'll come home and either just, play video games with my husband, or we'll just sit and watch a TV show and just lay there and observe it. But yeah. So that is that. Yarny things, though. I did have some yarny things come in the mail. It's funny because this actually arrived, this first one arrived basically 3 weeks ago. It's been sitting here for 3 weeks unpackaged. And it's been so long that they are shipping out the next batch like this week. So next week I'll probably have another one of these to show you. But this is Sunday Fiber Co.'s Lonely Socks Yarn Club. Beatles themed. This one is the main skein variegated. I love it. The color's showing really well today. Yeah, it is like a beautiful blue-green kaleidoscope, and then there is some yellows and some pinks and a little bit of purple even, I would say, in there. This one's called Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which is perfect for those kaleidoscope skies and eyes. And then the other skein that goes with it, the tonal, is a lovely pink. It's not picking up quite how bright the pink is on the camera today. But this one's called Love Me Do. It's kind of more of like a strawberry pink, I would say, than the camera is giving it credit. Try the beauty hack. Nope, that didn't work. Okay. That is okay, but those are gorgeous. The other one I got came yesterday, and it was row 1. I haven't even opened it yet. I have been feeling such a huge itch like the last 2 days, though, to pick up my row 1 blanket and my sweet shop blanket. I don't really want to work on anything else right now. I know that I wanted to have matching hats for me and my husband and my baby. I still have time to do that. I have a feeling this week or next week I will finish. I have casted on my husband's, but I just need to do all the increases. And then once that's done, I can do the decreases and finish baby's hat. And then once my husband's is on the, I want to say I have 16-inch circulars, I can do my hat and cast that hat on. We might have to get another skein of the red, but we will see. Just because my husband's head is he has a really big head. Not that that's a bad thing, but anyways, we might have to get another skein of the red or like an orange to stripe with it or something. But anyways, row 1, let's open this up. Oh, these are fun. Oh, this is Fangirl Fibers. That is awesome. I'm already seeing some names I know on here. I'm going to keep them in the plastic because I like keeping them together until I use them there. That's better. But there is a Satsuki and a Sophie I'm seeing. Fangirl Fibers has I always want to get her Advent, but it sells out so quickly and you have to follow her on I forget which social media it is. But her stuff from what I've seen is just so cool. Are these? The candy they send I usually can't eat, but sour gummy candy is one thing I'll I haven't had a lot of cravings, but I'll occasionally crave. And so now we have some Sour Patch Kids. So I'm excited for those. All right. Let me see if there is any. Oh, I think that these are, that's what I was wondering. I think that they are, why can't I think of the name? Studio Ghibli. Sorry, pregnancy brain is hitting me now too. Studio Ghibli, because you have one called Howl, which is Howl's Moving Castle. There's Totoro, Satsuki, Ponyo, Sophie, May, and the Soot Sprite. So I'm assuming all of these are from Studio Ghibli movies, which is so stinking cute. I'm excited to work those and to add those into my blanket eventually. Let's see, it also comes with a little stitch marker. Let's open that up. I always rip the package, no matter how careful. It's like a cute little tassel. I don't know if you can even see that. Little tassel charm. So cute. Those are always just so fun to have. A little something to remember the month by. But I am excited. I am hoping that this week I can at least pick one of my blankets back up. It might not be today because I have a long list of things to do, but I would like to get one of my blankets started again and going because I have been itching to do that. Yeah, the other one I have that I want to get finished just because it's taking up so much space is my crochet baby blanket I'm making for our baby. That one will go really fast. I just have to, have the want to do it. It is crocheting with bulky yarn, and it is a giant hook, so it can sometimes hurt my arm. That's why I wasn't doing it for long spurts of time. But if I can do like one skein a week, then it will be done in 3 weeks because it's only a 4 skein blanket from what I can kind of tell. Sorry, baby's laying there being so cute, chewing on her ball. Yeah, that is all of the yarny stuff. So yeah, now we can go on to pregnancy stuff. Yeah, I'm already starting at HIIT again, but it's weird because when most women get to this stage, at least from what I can tell from reading and from online stuff, usually once they've hit week 17, 18, that's where I am. Their morning sickness basically goes away and is replaced by basically heartburn. And then heartburn kind of stays for the rest of your pregnancy. And when your morning sickness goes away, apparently they get super, super hungry all the time. Because the baby now is basically every few weeks, it's doubling in size or in weight. I guess I shouldn't say size. Doubling in weight takes a little longer for the length to grow. But yeah, so right now my baby is 5 ounces about, just over, and it's about 5 inches in length. Everywhere, it's funny because every site you look at too says, like most of them compare it to fruits or veggies. Weeks 14 through 18, really, they all are like the same 4 fruits, but they mix them up. And so you have avocado, apple, pear, and I forgot what the other one was. But they're all like, they can all be around the same length, they can all be bigger, and so it's kind of funny that like, they're basically like, yeah, your baby's just like, kind of in the stage where it's, between 4 and 5 inches, and these are the fruits that are close enough, I guess. But anyways, we can go week by week. Week 14 was decent. Going out of state, though, was really hard. But and I packed snacks, but it was hard because I started to get to the phase where I need to be eating like almost on the dot every 2 hours, and I have kind of figured that out, and it's basically my 2-hour mark right now, so I'm starting to feel the nausea come back. And instead of getting hungry like normal people, I feel nauseous and sick to my stomach when I need to eat, which is dumb and stupid, and I hate it. And then I'll eat, and as I'm eating, I feel better. But once I stop eating, it kind of like I have to sit for a minute and let it do its thing, I guess, in my stomach before I'll feel okay again. So at work, this is really hard because I don't have a minute to sit down. I can like scarf down a sandwich or scarf down, a granola bar in between dogs real quick, which generally I've been able to do pretty consistently, pretty well. But I don't have, 5-10 minutes extra in between dogs to sit down and let my food settle. And so that paired with the heat has just been really hard. But anyways, so that was really difficult to go out of town. And we just stayed at my mother-in-law's house. She was very sweet for letting us stay overnight. And we didn't have a car either because we didn't want to rent one. We just drove with them everywhere. And that was just really hard because I could not, go and eat every 2 hours. My mother-in-law has food at her house, but I am a vegan, and there are very specific foods at that point that my stomach still would not tolerate, and foods that it would. Like, I needed starchy foods, especially early in the morning, so we went and got a bagel and a Starbucks drink because their chai has ginger, and that helps my stomach kind of settle. Or at least it seemed to. I don't know if it's the placebo effect or not. But then after that, we didn't eat for 4 or 5 hours because, we were we were sitting through a graduation ceremony and had to walk, we walked probably 1.5 miles to get there because the place that they assigned us to park was way out of, it's not like at the University of Utah where you all park at like the Institute and they're just like, park here, it's fine. No, they don't allow that. So we had to park, they assigned us a parking lot. It was way on the other side of campus. And we could pay for parking closer. And my husband was really sweet and he almost just paid his mom to have us park there so we wouldn't have to walk as far. But we ended up just, hiking it. And then afterwards, my sister-in-law is super sweet, but and it was her graduation day, so we're like, you do whatever you want, it's your big day. But she wanted to trek all back across campus to take, photos, which she definitely deserves every right to do, but it was very difficult out in the heat and really with no source of food. We did stop at the campus store and get a bag of chips finally, and that at least tided me over till we got to lunch. Yeah, and then the next weekend was it a normal weekend again? I feel like there was something. Oh, it was our Memorial Day celebration. That's right. It's like I know that we've had something every single weekend for like the past month, and it's been kind of crazy. But it was Memorial Day, so we went to my aunt's house and we saw my entire extended family. It was really nice because they had lots of food, like chips and stuff, so I just snacked on chips the whole time. And it was fun to get to see everyone and like all of my, my whole Nana's side, so her brothers, their kids, and then their kids, who like I wouldn't say we're super close to, but like we're decently close. We at least know who they are and know what's going on in at least in some of their lives. So it's always good to see them and catch up. So that was fun. That week was hard because I feel like, no, that week was good. 14, I feel like I regressed back into my morning sickness. And then week 15, I feel like I started coming out of it again. And I was like able to like be normal again for a minute. That week too, it mainly felt like gag reflex. And from what I remember, I didn't throw up that much. And then last week happened where basically every single morning since then I have thrown up. Whether that be right after it's happened like where I felt really, really good and I'll eat and then I'll be, putting dishes away or whatever. And it's so dumb because like I'll catch a sniff of something and I can't place it. My brain doesn't say, hey, that's a good or a bad scent. But my stomach is like, I don't like that. I don't like whatever I just smelled. It will throw up whatever's in my stomach, which is dumb. Usually, though, it happens right after I wake up and I do my business and then I stand up and I go to wash my hands and immediately I throw up. And usually it's just stomach acid or bile. Luckily, my poor teeth can let me tell you. I go to the dentist next week along with getting an EKG, no, not EKG, an echo from a cardiologist. But I am kind of nervous about going to the dentist this time because I don't know how all this acid has been affecting my teeth. Hopefully not too many cavities, but you never know. Hopefully too, he'll recommend me like a good mouth rinse or something that will help with that because it's hard when you throw up, but then you know that you need to eat immediately to like settle your stomach. And because then you don't want to brush your teeth because then the food's going to taste bad and then you'll throw it up again. And so it's hard to figure out a good balance between the two. But yes, that was week 16. Oh, and then my mother-in-law came and surprise visited us. She literally told us the day before she was coming out. So we're like, well, what do you want to do? Where do you want to eat? And there was basically dead silence. And so we ended up going to our swimming pool, which we had a lot of fun at, and taking them to dinner a couple times. And that was a lot of fun. We had a good time with them. Even though I always feel bad because like I just was that weekend. Again, last week was the first week really that the AC like went out at work and it was hot enough to where the salon was heating way up into the 80s. And so because of that, I was just mentally and physically exhausted and my hormones that weekend have started to kick in. I've heard a lot of pregnant women get very hormonal the second trimester, and I have started to feel it. But my hormones that weekend were all over this. I was just so tired. So I felt bad because I'm like, I want to be here and I want to like engage, but it was hard enough for me just to be there. And so I was trying my very best, but we still had a great time and enjoyed having them out to visit us. And now this week again, it's been kind of the same as last week where basically we've thrown up, every single day. It's only Wednesday. We've thrown up every day, at least once. The worst days are when you wake up, you throw up stomach acid, you feel fine, you get up, you go downstairs, and then I always walk and feed the girls, and then I'll eat, and that's usually the two. I'll get like my chai, so I have at least something that's starting to get in my stomach. But there are some days where then I'll feed the girls and I'll just be about to, put my bagel in the toaster in the morning. And I will suddenly just throw up again and it's stomach bile. And I'm like, why couldn't you have done the two together instead of two separately? Like, couldn't you have waited 10 minutes and then just thrown both of them up? But yeah, I was telling my mom and my husband, it's kind of sad to think about because I've basically gotten to the point where throwing up, I'm just so used to it. It still sucks, but it's like, okay, I guess here we go again. Like, this is what I gotta do. This week though has been more difficult emotionally, I'll say, than anything, just because I felt so tired. I felt like my body should be adjusted by now to the baby. What else is like, I felt like I haven't been doing enough around the house. So today I've been doing like a ton of stuff to like clean up and put things away. And that's helped. But it's hard when, you get home from work and all your body is telling you to do is to take a break and rest. But you're like, I also need to cook dinner for me and my husband. I gotta do this and I gotta do this. And you have a list a mile long because there's a lot besides just normal household chores when you're preparing for, a baby to come, especially first baby. Like we gotta figure out our budget because we learned I might not get paid maternity leave because my new job only gives it, I think, if you've had a year of employment, and I will be at 9 months employment. Actually, it'll be just under 9 months. It'll be, or just over. I'll be right at about 10 months of employment when our little baby comes. And so that is like, that's a big bummer because we're like, are you serious? Like, I have worked my tail off to be there even when I'm feeling so sick. So that's something I might have to fight HR on. But we got to go over like a budget for all that and figure that out. And there's also a week so my husband gets a month paid paternity leave, which is really awesome because I've told him I ain't doing this newborn thing alone. Like, it's a ton of work and I ain't doing it alone. So very nice that he gets a month off. But our baby is due in November, and that's the month where all of his like big updates are. And there's one they've said that like it's like 3 or 4 days, he can't miss it. And so he'll have basically 2 weeks of paternity leave, and then he has to work a few days, and then he'll get another 2 weeks of paternity leave after that. And so we've been having to also figure out, okay, we're going to have to go spend some time probably at my mom and dad's house that weekend. Because again, I ain't doing this alone. And so luckily my parents are gracious enough to let us go stay at their house, and they'll help me out, help give me some sleep during the day while, I take the night shift with the baby or whatever. So just a lot. And then there's also like, we're like, oh my goodness, we should probably write like a will and testament because just in case, like, you don't want to think this way, but just in case you get into like the worst of the worst scenario where both me and my husband were to die, who is going to take care of the baby? So that's something we've been thinking about and doing a lot of research on. And the other thing is there are just like, I think I talked about this in my, can't remember if I talked about this actually, because my last video was the real first trimester talk. But there are like 1,000 strollers out there. And so I thought that the one I had picked, I'm like, okay, well, it's a good brand, good reliable brand. They do a lot of those. I'm pretty sure my mom had that brand, and I think my aunt had that brand too. So like good, reliable, and I know that it will work. But then you get thinking, okay, well, what if, like, I don't think that me and Emma will ever have a second baby just because it's been so hard. But we've always talked about adopting. So what if we get, 3 years down the line and we want to adopt a kid? Then we need a stroller that, maybe expands to fit 2 kids. And so that's like something we've been thinking about. But there's so many strollers, and to do research on all of them takes so much time. And then you go and you look at car seats, and it's the same thing. There's like a bajillion car seats out there. And so we've been looking at like the safest ones that are also like very affordable. And then we already have like the crib picked out. I did that during my morning sickness. I found a crib that I really, really like, and that is convertible. So it will go from a bassinet to a crib to a toddler bed eventually. So that I'm excited for once it comes time to purchase that. But now we also this week found out we got our cfDNA test, which is the cell-free DNA test. What they do is they draw mom's blood, and they're able to separate baby's DNA, because baby's DNA, or at least fragments of it, is floating through my blood, because my body exchanges basically everything with baby now. But we got those results back. The main focus of that test is to see if your baby is likely to have a genetic DNA anomaly, like Down syndrome or any of the trisomies. There's like 3 of them, or to have an abnormal XY chromosome, like an XXY, or I think it was a YYX was the other one. And then the other thing that's really awesome is you get to see the baby's gender. So we've told some of our friends and family we're not doing a gender reveal because I think that they're stupid. And why would we, when we're paying so much to have a baby already, why would we pay to have another party? We can't afford that. So anyways, we are having a little baby girl, which me and my husband both last week, we found out, when was it? I think it was Friday. Yeah, we found out Friday. The results came in. We thought we were going to have to wait till this week to find out. But we both felt very strongly last week. We had moments where we both very strongly felt like it was a baby girl. So that was really cool to kind of have that confirmed. And it's nice to now we can start like planning. We already have her name picked out. Her name will be Celeste Angelia Rocha. Celeste is a name that I really have loved for a long time, for like 5-6 years. And when we were dating, we actually started making, because we're Mormon. Which Mormon couple doesn't do this, where they already start making, a list of baby names they like for the future. So we did that when we were dating, and then when we were first married, and just kind of kept it. And whenever we'd hear a new name we would just, pull it up on my phone and add it. But we both really liked that one from the beginning. So that will be her first name, probably nicknamed Cece, although my brother has said he's going to call her Sea Dog, which we think is so funny. Only Ben can call her that. And then middle name Angelia comes from both my mom's first name, and then Leah is a really important name to my husband's family, so we just smushed them together. And then obviously last name. She'll take my husband's last name. Eventually, I keep saying this, eventually I'd like to change my name, especially now that baby's on the way, so that it's not confusing, especially because I've heard like sometimes if you bring them to school or to like their first doctor appointment, they like are a little hesitant if you have a different last name than your baby. So that's something I've wanted to do for a long time. I just don't want to have to go through the process of changing all of the medical and the financial and the social documents. So we'll see when it gets a little closer. Probably in 3rd trimester I'll decide if I want to do that yet or not. But yeah, that's something we've thought about. But that will be really fun. I am someone, though, I don't want a lot of like kind of cutesy frilly things for her, like ribbons and bow. Like I want a couple bows for her head. But like for like when we go out, but like I feel like getting everything with ruffles and everything pink and floral, that's just not my vibe. I don't like it at all. So I would still like to keep everything very gender neutral based. We'll probably do a lot of neutrals, and I still love blue and green, so we'll probably dress her up in a lot of like olive greens and like light blues. And then that's probably when we'll throw on a little, blue bow or a blue flower to match. But yeah, I want to keep it. I've heard from a lot. I've been doing a lot of research, and like listening to a lot of YouTubers, especially like review their registry lists, and review what they got after they had a baby, what they actually used. And a lot of them are like, don't get a lot of fancy clothes because dressing a baby is hard enough. And they're just going to spit up on all the cute clothes and you're never going to use them all because they grow so fast. And so we're probably going to keep it pretty simple and just do like neutral onesies with, or like footy pajamas, the zipper ones I heard are the best. And probably like some pants because she is going to be born in the winter, so it'll be cold. And I think we'll get probably a couple like cardigans or something to go, to keep, just to add an extra layer of heat because it will be pretty cold when she is born here in Utah. So that's what I've been thinking. My husband, though, he has said he would like a lot of the cutesy things, and I'm like, we already discussed this though when we didn't know the gender, but now he kind of wants some of the cutesy things. So we'll see what ends up happening. We'll see if the pregnant lady or her husband wins. I'm kidding. But yeah, so that has been kind of a fun thing this week to kind of imagine more of and start calling, instead of calling it the baby, or we had a different nickname I won't say because my mother-in-law hates it. But it's nice to not call her a thing and give it more of a personality and start calling her by her name. And it's made it a little more real, which is good. But yeah, so that's fun. Emotionally though, this week has also been really hard. I think I said, I just feel like I haven't been doing enough. And then I talked to my mom about it though. My mom, besides the throwing up, has had a very similar morning sickness experience, where hers lasted a very, very long time. Like her nausea lasted, I think she said almost through her entire pregnancy. So I am not expecting mine to go away anytime soon, unfortunately. I like to be more realistic about it than like in like a weird way hopeful. Like, am I still hopeful it will go away? Yes, but I would rather, just be like, I'm gonna probably be sick for the next 4.5 months, 5 months, then and like and then be pleasantly surprised come week 20 or something when I don't throw up anymore. Then because this was something that really got me down weeks like 8, 9, 10, and 11, I'd say, and even into week 12, where you'd read stuff online about, okay, yeah, morning sickness should be going away starting in week 10. Okay, well, I made it through the worst week. Why isn't my morning sickness going away? Then like you feel really down on yourself. And then, okay, I can make it another 2 weeks. Everybody says week 12. And then you get to week 12 and it doesn't go away. And then finally, mine didn't get better till week 14 when, I was like, I had finally started to get out of bed and get off medicines, really by that point. But it still was just really, really hard. But so I'd rather just, kind of expect the worst, expect to be sick for the next 5-6 months almost. Really, it's the next 8 months because there is technically a 4th trimester postpartum. Doesn't sound very fun from what I've heard. At least you have the baby like in your arms at that point, so there's something to distract you. But yeah, kind of sucky that's probably what I'm gonna have to deal with. But I mean, it is what it is. And as long as me and the baby are healthy and gaining weight. This week's been weird. I haven't really gained weight, even though I've been eating the same amount as last week. And my body's like really, I learned being a vegan, it's kind of hard for me to gain a lot of weight unless I eat like a ton of food. And I think a lot of it has to do with both my job being very physical, where I'm always on my feet, I'm always up and down, I'm always moving. And then my diet is, very strictly plant-based. So there's not, like, I still do a lot of like fats through like we've been eating a lot of avocados and a lot of ice cream, vegan ice cream though, so it's technically healthy. I keep telling myself that it is not. But it has a lot of calcium, which is good because baby needs calcium for the bones. And yeah, but it still is very difficult because this week's been hard because I feel like I haven't been doing enough for baby because I haven't been gaining quite like I should. In fact, I think I've lost a little bit. But the lady who gave me my very first IV back when, what was that? That was week 8, I think. No, it was week 9, I believe. But she said her sister was super sick at the beginning, lost so many pounds. And she ended up, when she gave birth, she was 15 pounds lighter than when she started. So that's very well something that could happen. But the nurse assured me the baby and her were both healthy. So that's good. Good to know. And good to like have different perspectives because you hear all these stories about women gaining tons and tons because they just were eating and eating. But again, I haven't had that appetite hit me yet. It's been more, I've been eating to like slow my nausea down. But if I eat too much, then I feel sick again. So it's just really bizarre. It's like my body keeps fighting itself and it sucks. But I talked to my mom about it the other day and she said what I'm feeling is very normal, especially because I'm kind of in an in-between phase where I'm not like dead sick from morning sick, but I'm not all the way better. And like the thing that she said got her through was when she first felt the baby kicks. And like I think it's really hard if you haven't had a baby to feel baby kicks, especially at first because they're so small. So most people say that like it feels like digestion, but like in your lower belly, kind of like your pelvis area where your stomach definitely isn't. And so like I think I felt baby kick, but I'm not sure. It's called quickenings. But my mom said until she was like sure that it was the baby like kicking, it was also really hard for her because she's like, I think that there's still a little guy down there and yeah, I'm showing, and like there's been all these like checks that yeah, I do have a baby growing down there, but it's hard like every day to be like, okay, is the baby okay? Like that's just what I want to know now. Is the baby still okay? Am I doing okay? But yeah, so hopefully in the next couple weeks I'll start to feel that. But if not, it's my first one. A lot of people say they didn't feel their first baby kick till between weeks 20 and 24, so we still have a little ways to go on that. But yeah, fun checks coming up next week. Next week I won't have another one of these because I have 4 appointments in 2 days. That's right. Next Wednesday I have bright and early. I thought it was this week and I kept saying it was this week. And I said that in my last video, my pregnancy talk video. I guess my first trimester recap, I should call it, video. Pregnancy brain is real. And it hit hard last week. I did not have and I knew it was on the 11th. And I knew last week it was not June yet. But for some reason in my brain, I'm like, it's next week. But no, my EKG is next week. That's when I'll meet, it's not even an EKG, it's an echocardiogram, where they basically do an ultrasound of your heart. I've had a bajillion of them done all growing up, so I know exactly what it is. They're actually, like, from what I remember, they're very peaceful. You just lay there and they put the goo that smells so good on your chest, and then they, rub the ultrasound stick and look at your heart. But I have that super early first thing Wednesday, and then I meet with the cardiologist like a little bit after, so not terrible. And then later that day, I have my dentist appointment. Which again, I'm kind of nervous about. I'm more nervous for that than anything. Just because I'm like, I don't know how my teeth are doing. Because usually my teeth are like, I'm not usually nervous to go to the dentist. I've gone a bajillion times, and dentists take care of my teeth pain, and that is all I can ask them for. So I like dentists. But I'm worried just about the state of my teeth right now because of all the throw up that I've been doing. And then the next day we have the next appointment with our OBGYN. And then after that, me and my husband actually our doctors at the University of Utah Hospital. And because of that, they are a medical school hospital, or they're linked to the University of Utah, just the university, the college. And so they have a lot of neat studies going on, and like medical students practicing and studying there. But we have an opportunity to be a part of a study where they're looking at mother's heart health and father's heart health. So look at both me and my husband and how that affects the placenta, actually. So we have that baseline appointment right after. So that will be fun to go to as well. And I believe they're going to do another ultrasound during that, if I remember right. They're drawing blood and a lot of, other markers, genetic markers, to see how things are doing. But I believe they're doing an ultrasound. If not, they definitely do one during the third trimester. The big thing, though, is they're seeing how me and my husband's heart health affects the placenta, which I think is very interesting. And because of the state of my heart, I really wanted to do this study. And, it's more checks on the baby, so, like, what's the harm in that? So, yeah, that's nice. We're excited. But that will kind of be a long day. A long couple of days of going up, back and forth to good old Salt Lake City and back. But yeah, because of that, next week there will not be a video, and the next week, though, we should be good to have our normal, regular, scheduled checkup. Not checkup, that's for doctors. Progress video, there we go. Yeah, I guess now we can move on to media. We started watching The Pitt last night, and that was really good. We watched like 2 episodes. Well, no, sorry, it was 1.5 episodes. And by the time it was bedtime, my husband did not want to go to sleep. He was like a toddler. He's like, I don't want to go to sleep. I want to keep watching. So we'll probably watch a lot more of that coming up. But it was really, really good. We enjoyed that. I wasn't sure because a lot of medical dramas, I feel like, start out pretty good. But then I get bored of them because it's like the same old every episode where they have a patient come in like dire need, they fix them, and they send them out, and then it's a happy story. And then occasionally they'll switch it up where somebody doesn't make it or whatever. But I like that this one, it seems like it's a little more real. I've heard from like doctors and reviews, it's more realistic than a lot of other ones, so that's kind of cool to see. But yeah, so that's been fun to watch. We started also watching, so the person that made RRR, which is one of our favorite movies of all time, before that he made a 2-part movie series called Bahubali. I think it's actually pronounced Bahubali because that's how they're saying the name in Hindi. We watch it Hindi with English subtitles because we want, like, I don't know, we're weird like that. We want the more pure version of it, I guess. And the English subtitles the English dub for Bahubali is kind of weird sounding. It's kind of like how a lot of animes used to fall. I will say anime dubs, I feel like, have gotten a lot better in recent years as it's like surged in popularity. But back like probably 5-10 years ago. It kind of sounds like that, so not the best. That's another reason why we watch it in Hindi. But we started watching that again, and it's hilarious. Like, I would not recommend it as anyone's first Bollywood, Tollywood movie or Indian movie that you watch. I would probably start with RRR, because that one, like, as a white person that never saw anything like that, it was very easy to get into. Like, it has great action sequences. Like, a lot of them are very blown out of the water, but it seemed more like a superhero movie than anything. And then you go to Bahubali, and a lot of it's just like ridiculous, and you're like, oh my, this could not happen. But it's really funny. So yeah, that's been fun to watch again. What else did we watch? Oh, we have been watching a lot of like crime documentaries. So actually on the plane, we wanted to watch we watched The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. We did that. And we found out my husband was in the MTC, which is where LDS missionaries go to train. He was in the MTC group with someone that is like best friends with Jen from that. So we're like, oh my goodness. We are close to Jen, who we do not like. We don't like any of these people, to be honest. They're all terrible. But you end up liking some more than others, except for this season. I really didn't like any of them this season. They're all terrible. They all remind me of like high school drama, and none of them know what the church actually teaches, because literally like episode 1, like our church teaches no hardcore drugs, no alcohol, no tobacco, no smoking. And like there are some instances of like medical marijuana, like there are some instances where that's okay, or like medical opioids, like in like I think they're in an epidural if I remember right. But like medically given, it's okay, but to like do them not under a doctor's supervision, just like most things, it would be going against it, especially if you get addicted, because that's not okay. I guess recreationally doing drugs. But that's something that like from a very young age you learn in the church. But literally on camera, this girl says, and she's like one of the ones that preaches as the most Mormon of them. She is not. But she says episode 1, the church isn't against ketamine. It's not in the scriptures. And me and my husband's jaws dropped, and we laughed so hard. And then another one was this. So the church also teaches no premarital sex, at all. Like, you're not supposed to do sex at all. You can like, kiss and make out and kind of explore that way, but you want to save sexual relations for within the bounds of marriage. And me and my husband, as we've been married, have been very grateful for that, because at least like for us, we probably wouldn't have done it either way, but keeps things less messy, because then like, I don't have to worry about if Emmer has a kid randomly somewhere, or if, I had like an STD. We were like, okay, we're both clean. We've never done this. So, but in one episode, one of the girls says the church doesn't want you to enjoy sex before marriage. And we were like, wait, go back. No, that's wrong. The church says no sex before marriage at all. I mean, if you have it, sure, go ahead and enjoy it, because you're already breaking the law of chastity. Might as well enjoy it, but nowhere does it say you can have sex, but you can't enjoy it before marriage. You can't have sex before marriage. So, yeah, they're all crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. None of them are good members. My husband, though, because one of the gripes that my mother has with the show especially is that all these people claim to be Mormon, and maybe they practice it in their very own unique special way, but they do not live by, the 10 Commandments and what we're taught to do to be worthy temple goers and worshipers of Christ. But her big gripe with the show is them spreading misinformation about our church, which is something that, yes, it does happen, as the 2 instances I listed before. But my husband was in the subreddit for the show, and he found it very heartwarming to see a lot of actual practicing Mormons or members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were in there correcting and being like, this is a blatant lie. They do not teach this at all. This is actually what is taught, and this is actually what we believe. So, and it seemed to be very well received from what he saw in the comments. So that at least made me feel a little bit better about it. But we don't watch the show because it's good. We watch it because it is absolute trash. And it's one of those shows where I'm like, I feel so much better about me and Emmer's situation. Never do I question our relationship or anything. And our relationship has grown so much over the last 2.5, no, it's been 3 years this month actually, since we've gotten married. That's crazy. But 3 years since we've been married, 4 years since we started dating. Just like of how much better we are at resolving conflict with each other. We were talking about this the other day, like when we first got married, like there's always fights, there's going to be, or disagreements, just because you're two humans that have been living separately, because our church again doesn't teach you that you should live together before marriage, just to it's to help abstain from, the sexual temptation of it all, I guess. But you're two humans that get married and then you're thrown into a house together. And a lot of people, their only living experience outside of their parents' house is college with roommates, maybe. So there will be, fights and arguments, especially if you haven't learned, how to deal with that with roommates. And like someone like me, I'm a little particular about how I like things in my house. And Ember knows that. And Ember's like, and I've had to learn what to let roll off my back and what actually is a bigger deal. And if Ember doesn't put the dishes away immediately, that's not a big enough deal to cause a fight. We'll get to him by the end of the night and it's okay. Or there's been times it's the next morning and that's okay. Or if the house, if we don't sweep it every single night like we used to in my childhood home, it's okay. A little bit of dog hair isn't gonna kill anyone. And there's things I know that I do that he's learned to either let roll off or that I've had to work on changing as well. But how we handle those conflicts is just so much more mature, and we just know how to do it now in an adult way instead of, more of a childish way. But yeah, so we watch those shows because then it makes us feel better about our relationship. Because there's a lot of things. There's things in every relationship, and there always will be, that maybe not the best or maybe not the most ideal. I can't think of one right now. I guess the thing right now is how sick I am, because then I just feel terrible all the time. But Emmer's been just such an amazing partner to go through all this with. But yeah, anyways, so Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, terrible, terrible show. But a good watch if you want something just absolute garbage. But yeah, it was very interesting too because Zach, who is the husband of Jen, last season was being abused, borderline abusive. I would say it was abusive towards her at the end of the season, and that was kind of the big conflict that they broke on. And apparently they separated, but then he kind of sweet talked his way back into being in her life. And they were together, but not, they were living together, but still working through their marital problems on the show. And then lo and behold, she gets pregnant. And so she gets back with him. And apparently after the show too, she's still back with him, which it's her own marriage. But I do not like the guy. And it was very interesting this season to see them paint him as not the villain when he did terrible things last season that they caught on camera. So it was a weird, interesting twist that I did not like. I think she should get away from him. And I know that there's children involved, but also as a woman, you need to look out for your own best interest too. And then when you're taking care of your children, also are taken care of. But anyways, that was kind of the last point I think I had on the season. Yeah, when we were on the plane, we quickly needed a show to watch because Frontier, they are scumbags now. They've I know they are always the worst plane. We use them in between here in Denver because it's a 50-minute flight, and so it's whatever. we will deal with whatever garbage we have to deal with for 50 minutes to get the cheapest flight to Denver and back. But since I last flown with them, they are scumbags now. They now, if you have a party of 2 and you're both adults, they separate you onto like opposite sides of the plane so that you have to pay them an extra $40 or more to sit together because you have to change your seats. And they usually will sit you like next to 2 other people, so you can't just switch one of you, you have to switch both of you. And it sucks. And so I went and asked the gate agent, I'm like, look, I'm pregnant, I'm feeling so sick. Is there any way I can have my husband sit next to me? She's like, no, you can't. I'm like, okay, this is garbage customer service. After having worked in the flight industry, and that I know that is garbage customer service, and that made me mad because Frontier now is even worse than they were. And 15-minute flight, so we were like, okay, well, what do we want to watch together? Because we only have Hulu on my phone, because we use my parents, and Emred hasn't signed into it yet. On his phone, it signs you out like every 2 minutes, and so it's like it's not worth it to sign into his phone. But anyways, we were looking on Netflix for something quickly to download and watch, and the one that like first caught our eye and looked good was what was it? It was American Manhunt, Osama bin Laden. And so we were watching like this thing on them hunting Osama bin Laden, but like the first like 15 minutes of this documentary is the Twin Towers get hit, Pentagon gets hit, and then there's like all this like air traffic stuff that they're talking about. And so as we're like taking off and we're like watching these on our screen, we're like trying to like hide it from everyone so people don't think, we were gonna try to hijack the plane. We would not ever. But we were both getting kind of a kick out of that. But it was really good. Very informative. I like how they go over the big screw up too, where they had him in the caves and they're like, military, we need you to come over. And then the military's like, yeah, but this isn't a military op, this is a CSI op, and so we're not gonna come because it's not our operation. And it's like, dude, are you serious? And so they lost him for like another 2 years, 2, 3, 4 years after that. However long it was until they found him at the compound. And then it was very interesting to see how they prepared for that too. Yeah, like I always knew like the SEAL teams were like the ones they send in when like it's big mission, but to see how they prepared and like how they were all ready to like leave their families, like that was very interesting. Very cool to see how they like prepared for that. And then it's funny because they interviewed the guy that like shot him, that actually shot Osama bin Laden and killed him, and it was like he was some total patriot, hyped up on freedom. And so it's very funny because he's like, I saw him and I gave him 2 seconds and he didn't put his hands up, and I thought to myself, this guy's a threat to me, to my brothers, and freedom, and so I shot him. And I'm like, 2 seconds isn't that long to like, and I know he was like a very big target, a very dangerous person, but it was just kind of funny. We got a good laugh out of that. But that one was good. And then we watched one on just recently. It was a family. We watched a couple recently, but the one we just finished was one, I think it was like Murder Family or something, but essentially there's like this mom, she was a nanny, goes to Ireland to nanny for these 2 kids, falls in love with the husband. It's like kind of like a Mary Poppins-esque story. Marries the guy, becomes the mom. They move to America, but because they moved to America, adoption, I guess, is like really, really hard. And because the kids are Irish citizens still. And so she wants to adopt the kids, but she can't go through it the American way or something. There's a lot of loopholes they have to jump through. And so they just decide not to do it. But what seems like the story is that she gets upset she can't adopt the kids. And she had already been known to make up a lot of lies. And so she made up a lot of lies about abuse and about, even before they were married, she made up lies that she's actually the kid's mom when she was not biologically the kid's mom. But anyways, what ends up happening is her dad and mom are staying in the house overnight or permanently. They didn't make that clear. but they hear like a ruckus upstairs. They come in and like they're in like a physical altercation, the husband and wife, and the dad takes a baseball bat and starts beating the husband. And yeah, they beat him to death, and it was like a huge thing. And these poor kids had to like testify 8 times within like 10, 15 years of their lives. So it just kept going on. And they're like, we already lost our real mom. Now we lost our real dad too. Do we have to keep doing this? But yeah, that one was really good too. And I think that was really about all we watched, besides just a lot of random YouTube videos here and there. We started playing GTA 5 actually, which I'm out of my dad's house, so I can do that. My dad, when I first got my PlayStation 4, said if I ever played that, he would kick me out of the house. So I never did. I played Assassin's Creed though. But we just have been playing the online, and we just do a private server with me and my husband, and it's pretty fun. We've been having a really fun time together, just doing, stupid, silly missions. And becoming, crime lords in fake LA. But that's really it for this week. This has been a really long video because I was gone for so long. But hopefully the next one is about half this length again. But you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will talk to you. We will talk to you in 2 weeks. So stay safe out there, have fun in the sun, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.